Awesome. So, David, you want to go ahead? I know you had a couple of things you wanted to open with, and from there,
Yeah.
I'll kick things off.
Yeah, I just wanted to say good afternoon to everyone. We really appreciate your partnership. We appreciate your time. More importantly, my name is David Herring. I'm one of the channel managers at CNSG, an AppSmart company. And the purpose of today's call is we have a great supplier of ours, and not only a great supplier, but good friends, Matt Frechette and Andy and his team, and they'll introduce themselves in a minute here. But on behalf of CNSG and AppSmart, we really appreciate our partnership with BCM One. They're a great supplier. As our partners and managing partners out there know that are on this call, you know, if you want to find, buy, or manage any IT services, any carrier services, CNSG is your place to help you do that, and through some great suppliers like BCM One. So we have a good call. We have a lot of information that's going to come at you here. We're going to go about 40 or 50 minutes. We'll also have a recording of this call that me and Matt will send out later this week with follow-up. But again, on behalf of the entire CNSG AppSmart team, we appreciate your time and partnership.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Appreciate that. As David mentioned, I'm Matt Frechette. I'm the channel account manager with BCM One. Work a lot with David and the national account managers from CNSG, and excited to have everybody on here. Something we wanted to put together for a little while now, so definitely appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. And also with that, as you mentioned, we have Andy Stange, who is our VP of Channel Sales. And we also have Andrew D'Elia, who is our Director of Managed Services, who's going to be giving the BCM One Managed SD WAN overview today. So with that, we can go ahead and get into things. As I said, those are some of the introductions. Andy Stanke is going to give a brief BCM One overview, just to familiarize everybody a little bit from a high level with BCM One. From there, we'll pass it to Andrew D'Elia and let him get into the BCM One SD WAN overview that everybody's here for. And at the end, with some time, we'll do a Q&A wrap-up. If you have any questions during the call, by all means, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll make sure we answer them as we wrap things up. But with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Andy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dave, for setting this up, and for all those who are joining. And nice to meet you if we have never met before. And we may have. I've been in the channel for 13 years. Maybe a little bit more than that, who knows, I'll never tell. But I've been in the same company and essentially the same role, growing from like a field level channel manager to now VP of the channel. So I've seen a lot of the partnerships that that David mentioned with CNSG and known those guys for a very long time. So we appreciate you joining today. I'm going to keep my portion of this short. Just want to make sure that those of you who are not familiar with our company get a little bit of history, and then we'll let Andrew kind of get into it and do some Q&A at the end. So as you can see on the screen here, I mean, we have a few brick and mortar facilities. I mean, we've been around pretty much as long as most companies that aren't the major bell companies out there, going on essentially getting close to 30 years old now as a company. A couple of years ago, we made a strategic decision to grow our product base and acquisition. So some of you may know us from the agency world as a consultant and things like that. We may have met years gone by, trade shows within that context of conversation, but we are a service provider that obviously represents a significant amount of products, as you can see up there. And we'll get into that a little bit more. I think the biggest thing to know about this slide is that we're a very, very financially stable company. A lot of companies out there, especially in 2020, have seen significant hits on their bottom line. We are actually very close to what we set out to do and accomplish as far as a sales and revenue perspective in 2020. So I'm very proud of that. And we've grown over the last couple of years, almost doubling in size of headcount, and nearly doubling, almost tripling in revenue, all by growth and organic growth by acquisition and organic growth. Some of the companies that we have acquired that you may recognize, Next Vortex, which has been a partner of CNSG for a while, is a BCM One Holdings company. And then a Georgia-based SIP company called SIP Trunk and SIP US. Today, we're going to focus on some core products from BCM One, though. So we'll move on to the next slide. What we do, I mean, the best way to categorize what we do is to show you this extremely confusing slide, and then hopefully you just listen to me. Essentially, our goal is to make everyone's lives easier when it comes down to technology and dealing with suppliers. What we like to say, Andrew and I kind of like to call it eliminating supplier fatigue. Obviously, as you guys know, with the movement and the digital transformation, movement to virtualization, at home, remote workforce, there's a ton of options out there. And there's still a lot of options regarding the transport, not just the collaboration, and obviously supporting that with application-driven services like SD WAN and how to control that. Tons of them. I don't even know how many SD WAN providers there are right now. Probably like 40, maybe more at this point. So how do you choose one? You work with a company like us. You know, our job is to take the kind of bottom route down the screen and make your lives a little bit easier. Single point of contact as far as you guys as partners dealing with the sales and the engineering team that you're meeting today, but also for your clients. You know, we are agnostic in the sense that we do have our favorites, but they're our favorite suppliers because we've done business with them and they deliver on what they need to do. But we are agnostic, and we are at our heart, we're kind of a consulting and design company, just like a lot of you guys out there. So we know that we want to set your clients up with something that's going to be a long-term solution and not just cancel the contract 10 months in and make our lives terrible. So takeaway from this slide is we really want to be that single point of contact. We know we're not going to be able to do that for all of the services that you may provide to your clients, but we definitely want to earn it by starting out with something like SD WAN. So make the complex simple is what another one of our lovely mottos. Next slide. These are the different products that we offer. Obviously, there are a lot. You know, there's 4 different tiers, and you know, at the bottom you can see the different products and different certifications we have. We tend to lean on best practices such as Microsoft and Cisco, so there's a lot of that. The most important thing for this conversation is going to be there in that column 2, intelligent network, managed SD-WAN. About 5 or 6 years ago, we jumped into the SD-WAN fray and we kind of tested it out. I think Andrew was actually the one who tested the very first one out, which was CloudGenix half a decade ago. And we really tried to decide on the direction we wanted to go. And the direction we did go in was really to try to take that agnostic approach with a small choice of best of breed providers, depending on what the client wants. And so we'll get into today, managed SD-WAN, what that means to us, connectivity, what that means to us. And I think the most important thing to take away from the next portion of the conversation is believing in our technical ability to deliver a sound solution within regards to managed SD-WAN, and also that you can lean on us to be truly on your side of the table. We do not just pitch one service. We are not a major tier 1 provider who has to pitch one service. You know, we truly are an engineering firm that likes to do things the right way from the start. So Mr. D'Elia, would you like to take over from here?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, so today, you know, we wanted to really dive into not so much training what SD-WAN is, but more so why SD-WAN and how does that fit with BCM One and our product offerings. So as being just a part of this industry, every one of you probably have heard of SD-WAN, is probably talking SD-WAN to your client base. And if you're not, hopefully maybe you'll you know, begin to do so after this call. But, you know, look, SD-WAN is a next generation technology, right, that has promised, you know, to give clients, or number one, save them money. Also, you know, the ease of management, increased resiliency, and of course, becoming more flexible. Now, there's all sorts of, you know, percentages and statistics surrounding this. But you know, these are the things that SD-WAN, if implemented properly, can do. So, you know, without further ado, Matt, if you want to hit the next slide, you know, we always have that but right here, right? And that is because if it's not done properly, you do not achieve any of the things that SD-WAN has set out to do. And that's kind of where we come in to help. We have seen it time and time again. You know, Matt, if you want to actually click through, I think there might be some things, yeah, built into here, right? So, you know, it becomes actually a burden to a client, again, if it's not implemented properly. We've seen it. Your clients probably have seen it. There's horror stories out there where they go out and think that, hey, if I just, you know, plug and play, that's the big tagline a lot of the SD-WAN providers, you know, pop into their marketing slides. It's, you know, plug and play, easy to deploy, and we're going to save you a bunch of money. That could happen, right? If done correctly. Matt, if you want to go to the next slide, it'd be great, right? So And that's where BCM One comes in. We can make that all happen because we do tout that, we start up front up front in the process, right? And that's truly talking with a client, understanding their business requirement, understanding their current environment, getting a good grasp. How are we going to cut this over? Because it is truly, it is, first off, it's number one, it's not plug and play if it's an existing environment, right? And what we call a brownfield, right? Greenfield, right? Brand new customer location going in. Yeah, very simple to do. But most clients that, that we deal with, they're existing, right? They are just looking for a change in technology, trying to achieve flexibility, especially now, in the COVID world that we live in the pandemic, right? How do they become more flexible and save some money? And again, it's all about that technology selection. And again, the second thing, it's that implementation. It has to go right in order to achieve those things. One bad implementation, your site's down, you're losing money. Or you have to bring in some other additional resources to get things cleaned up there and get the business back in business. So, at BCM One, again, we believe it starts up front with those conversations, pre-sales, get that design on paper. We do some really good design documentation. We talk with the client. We talk about traffic flows. What happens if your WAN circuit fails? What's the expectation? Is that traffic going to reroute? What does that do to your voice? We have those tough conversations, right? And and I think that's where the biggest differentiation comes into play. It's not just sell them a SD WAN appliance and hope for the best. It's sell them an SD WAN box, but of course, bring that management aspect to it and that implementation aspect to it. Matt, if you want to hit the next slide, that'd be great. Awesome. So again, I touched on, starting up front in that pre-sales engineering. Again, I think that's the most critical. It's that design, right? It's truly that planning stage, making sure that we have good documentation, client understands the whole process. Then we dedicate a project manager to the client, right? It's that single point of contact. That project manager is going to be the liaison between our implementation engineering teams and that client, doing data gathering, keeping the project on time, right? That's another big thing, right? Meet those deadlines, making sure that every task is met. So again, when we do get to that implementation phase, it's going to go smooth. And of course, that implementation support piece, right? That's where you get into our engineering staff. They will be on the phone call on the turn up. They will help with that implementation. We can even provide feet on the ground to help a client with a distributed architecture, right? To make sure that we have, smart hands on-prem there where maybe they can't get to because, again, they don't have IT staff there. So we have that as an option. And then, on the back end, when they start getting their bills, we have some really good tools where we can help a client aggregate all their bills, right? We can do billing aggregation. Of course, we're a supplier ourselves, so we could get the bandwidth that's needed to power the SD-WAN. So we could do that on a single bill. And then day 2 support, right? That's an important one because, hey, once it's turned up, we don't walk away, right? We're going to give you our knock number, which is there 24/7, multi-tiered support as well. And of course, everything that we're saying, right, today, we're focusing in on SD-WAN, but this applies to all the services that BCM One sells across the board. So keep that in mind. So that's that day 2 support. Again, it's 24/7, 365. And we also have some good monitoring and management tools as well. And that's VitalView. And that is a single platform that we're able to monitor and manage multiple technologies, including SD-WAN, your WAN circuits, your cloud environments, etc. So all in one easy to use pane of glass for monitoring services. Next slide. Awesome. This is just going to go, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is really going to go into detail, right? We're going to make these slides available to you, and of course the recording of this. So there's a lot of words on here, but basically it's pretty much exactly what I said on the slide before, but just giving you some more insight. But again, it's just that we're going to be with you every step of the way. You're not alone in, or at least your clients are not alone in the implementation, after sale. We want to make our partners, proud to bring BCM One to the table, right? That's our goal, right? Is to offer a world-class experience to our clients. And that goes for the pre-sales process, the implementation, and of course that day 2 support. So, just keep that in mind. It's really important for us to have these implementations go really well because, we have to be seen in the industry as a leader when it comes to implementing SD-WAN. We do believe it's going to be a great growth vehicle across the board for our partners and us alike. So again, it's really important to us that these things go really well. Matt, next slide. All right, so we offer many different flavors of SD-WAN when it comes to, to our clients and of course our partners. The first one is managed SD-WAN. Okay, now this is truly exactly what it is. All we're doing as a company is we're going to help a client, select their SD-WAN provider, right? Who's going to, which hardware is it going to be, and we're going to help the client integrate that into their existing infrastructure. In this case, we will not be providing the internet connectivity to power the SD-WAN. This is really that bring your own bandwidth to the SD-WAN environment. Okay, so we would manage the WAN edge in the sense of the actual physical hardware, the configuration of that, and the implementation, and of course, day 2 support. But the clients can just take their existing internet connections and plug them right into those boxes. Okay, that is just, again, this is the simplest of it. We understand. Matt, if you actually want to go to the next slide, I could kind of hit some of the use cases for it. All right, so some of the use cases are just clients that have existing WAN contracts, right? That's the easiest one and the one probably most visible. We have other clients and agents. Maybe the agent that's selling it has another WAN source that they need to use or they want to use. Bring it, right? Bring it to the kind of bring your own bandwidth to the SD-WAN if you want to look at it that way. And then you have the client maybe looking just for a managed services provider just for that WAN edge. And we could do that as well. Now, something really cool that we could do is on those internet connections that maybe are pre-existing that the client might have, and maybe they have some existing WAN contracts. We can take and put our monitoring platform on those, so we could be proactive and remediate those circuits. So let's say at one location, a client's internet circuit is down. We could detect that it's down, and we could actually be proactive and open up the trouble ticket with that underlying supplier and remediate that using our NOC. So that would just be an add-on service for the client, but we can integrate that into the full-blown solution. That way they are getting that full MSP, covering both their SD-WAN and also their physical WAN connectivity. Everything that we mentioned, at least on the design, pre-sales, right, the project manager, the implementation, all of those things are all included at no additional cost to the client. Okay, and our SD-WAN suppliers, I'll say we did look at. We used to have 5 or 6 of them at our disposal. We whittled that down. We had a lot of overlap in very I'll say technologies that just overlap. They did the same exact thing. There was no added benefit, and we figured we chose best of breed for this. So right now to date, we have Meraki as a fully managed solution and also Versa as a fully managed solution, meaning again that we're going to do all of those things on the left-hand side here. The design, the implementation, and the day 2 support, right? Coming soon, we're going through that onboarding process with Cato. So we will have a third option coming into our product portfolio. When we onboard something, it's not just sign a contract and off we go running to the races with the new supplier. We have lots of training to do on our staff. Got to make sure that we know how to position it in the market and on the pre-sale side, understand all the ins and outs of the designs and their architecture. We also then have to make sure we know how to, our project managers understand how to walk that through their process And then of course, on the backside, both that implementation and the day 2 support, we have to be self-sufficient. We can't lean on anybody else to manage our stuff. So it is a large undertaking. Hopefully we'll have that done in the first half of 2021. It's been an ongoing process. But just keep that in mind that we will have another option for you besides Meraki and Versa. Matt, if you want to go to the next slide. I think there's a chat, so if anybody has questions, you could just throw your question in the chat, and we could, Matt, I don't know if you're monitoring that, but if you come across a question, let me know. Just jump in there and tell me. Okay, now here's, I'll say, kind of where the fun begins, right? Where our stretch begins, and this is where we not only manage the SD WAN, help the client down select and pick an SD WAN provider, but we are also providing the connectivity. So here, we're able to give a client that holistic view, right? We're going to procure the internet circuits. This could be existing BCM One internet circuits, and then we're going to help them select the SD WAN provider and also do that implementation phase and, of course, the day 2 support of everything. So this would be all underneath BCM One's umbrella, and it all come in on a single bill to the client, right? So that is managed SD-WAN and managed connectivity all bundled into one thing. So this would be your full solution, all provided by BCM One. Matt, if you want to go to the next slide. Awesome, thank you. So again, on the right-hand side there, we have our SD-WAN suppliers. It doesn't change, right? That same thing is going to hold true. We will be bringing on Cato in the first half of 21, and on the left-hand side of the screen here, right, the same things are all included, okay? One thing I did fail to mention on the last side, I know I mentioned day 2 support, but that also does include break fix of the physical hardware. Just keep that in mind too, right? That's a good, value add to a client. So if a device was to burn out and die, we will replace it, and that is included at no additional cost to the client. Good use cases for this, right? A client just wants a fully managed solution from a provider. Clients looking to modernize, right? Get off of MPLS. That's always, a good conversation to have, right? Lots of clients that are transitioning to SD-WAN are coming from that MPLS world, right? MPLS served us well for a very long time. It's still a great technology, but it is costly. So how do we get MPLS-like, connectivity at a lower cost? And SD-WAN can solve that if, of course, done properly, and we talk about it, discuss it, and implement it. So it's another great, segue for SD-WAN. Again, a client looking just to outsource their management of the WAN edge and maybe even their LAN. BCM One can go down into the LAN and manage, firewalls, switches, access points, networking connectivity devices. So we have the ability to go down into the network and manage that and take that all on if a client wants us to. And that's always a good conversation. If a client is looking to downsize their IT staff, we're able to help them do that. And it doesn't always have to be a downsized conversation. We have some of our best clients have very, very large IT staffs. We just help augment it. We work alongside that. We have weekly meetings with them. We become actually an extension of their team and a part of their team. And that's a really good working relationship. So we're not there to just displace, but we can definitely help augment and take some of that, tedious work of monitoring the WAN circuits and spending time on, on the phone, on hold, trying to get a circuit fixed and restored. So we could take that off their plates. Matt, if you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah, and then Drew, real quick, Joseph Miller just asked if you can add your own MPLS to manage SD-WAN.
You sure can. So yeah, and that would be in that design session. It has to be designed properly if we're going to do that hybrid approach where a client might have existing MPLS in their network. The SD-WAN, the SD-WAN suppliers that we mentioned that we have, right? Meraki, Versa, and of course coming soon, Cato. They all have the ability to tie into the MPLS networks if a client wants to do that true hybrid of internet and MPLS, and then overlaying the SD-WAN on top. So absolutely, that would just, be that combination that we're looking at here, where it doesn't have to be internet. The box on the left-hand side could say MPLS, or I should say that cloud on the left side should say, or could say MPLS or internet. Just bring your own connectivity there, and that would just connect into the SD WAN appliance. And we would also have an internet connection, and off we go. So yeah, that would fit very well into, thanks for that segue. But that was great, great timing. So yes, we can set that up, and we can integrate with MPLS. So, if you actually want to go to the next slide, Matt, that would be great there. Awesome. Right. So this would be, good use case is that, hey, I got some contracts in place at some locations, but I want to, I want to go to SD WAN, and I want to have a way off of MPLS over time when that contract expires. Great conversation to have, right? SD WAN should be a migration tool for a client that's looking to move away from MPLS. A nice phased approach is keep your MPLS in place, tie in the SD WAN, overlay it on top of it, bring in some internet connectivity, and you probably have a really good solution on your hands. And then as those MPLS contracts come up, you just disconnect the MPLS and install that new internet to replace it. So yeah, really good transitioning ability to do that with MPLS clients, and then with SD WAN. Again, with the combination, I did mention this, before, we can layer on our managed services on existing internet or MPLS or any WAN connectivity. It is an additional fee for us to do that, but it is a great value add when you look at it, a holistic, approach to our managed services, because now a client doesn't have to worry, oh, is that a BCM One managed circuit, or do I manage that? Don't worry about it, right? We'll just take it all over. You just pay us a single bill, and we will manage that for you, and make sure that your services stay up. And if they do go down, that they are detected and remediated as soon as possible. Right? That is truly what we set out to do. Matt, next slide. Right. One more thing we wanted to talk about when it comes to SD WAN. Andy did mention that we did acquire a couple of voice platforms over the years. With SD WAN, kind of the next generation to our product portfolio is, or I should say, what we've done is we created gateways on our voice platform that can connect into our clients' SD WANs. And create what we call a bookended solution. So an SD WAN appliance on both sides of the conversation, and we're able to do packet duplication between SD WAN appliances. So one would be in our gateway, which sits right on our voice platform, and then the other at the client's location. So if the client has dual connectivity at their location, we're able to do packet duplication, and doesn't matter which circuit is up or down or having bandwidth troubles or latency or whatever the case might be. We're going to duplicate over path 1 and path 2, and then stitch everything back together at the other side. And it should be a nice clean call, just like MPLS. So that is something that is available to all of our clients that are running our SD WAN. So just a kind of a next generation, kind of marrying both voice and SD WAN together. All underneath one umbrella, and providing just an end-to-end solution. Securing that voice, and again, providing that voice duplication is something that we're bringing to the market, and able to sell to our clients that are consuming our SD WAN. So pretty neat on where we're going as a company, and the flexibility that we're bringing to it, and of course the design and implementation. Every client should have a great experience. We consider it a world-class experience, and that's our goal for every client that comes through the door, and of course every partner that brings a client to us. That is what we're setting out to do. Matt, I think that might be my last slide, but yeah, look at that. So takes
great photo.
Great photo. Sure. But happy to take questions at this point.
I don't think there's any more in the chat. So just kind of throwing something out there too. I mean, We do have the ability to, Andrew mentioned it a little bit earlier, kind of integrate with clients that are looking to move off of service providers. So if you had a client, that has 100 locations, for example, who's on MPLS right now, and they're looking to move to a hybrid or a dual ISP SD WAN driven network, not only can we support that technologically, migrating them off, but we can also support the billing component. We have the ability for a client to keep services as we migrate those that come out of contract, but pay the bills on their behalf. It's a service that we call bill payment. So we do have flexibility to help you guys move up market. Just in case clients are in contract, obviously it's hard to find that kind of magic moment when they're out of contract for all of their services. So you can look at us as a company that provides a migration strategy to get from a kind of mixed hybrid network all to one solution under BCM One over time.
See my good friend Jim Lebrecht coming in with the question about pricing.
Yeah, so at least for the SD WAN components, or again, circuits are gonna fluctuate depending on the location of where they are and if they're on net and all of that. So that there is that variable for WAN connectivity, but for SD WAN and the licensing that comes along with that, that is flat pricing, right? It is a rate sheet that Matt could get out to the team. And but yeah, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's all based upon hardware and the licensing structure. So that's exactly how it's priced out. And of course, every price that we include, it does include all those features, as I mentioned, the management component, the implementation support, and that day 2.
And they like your picture too, Andrew.
It's just a great picture. High school history.
Andy obviously likes it. I
like it. It's great.
It's in medieval history. Another question. By flat rate, do you mean regardless of aggregated bandwidth?
No, so it is good. Your license structure will be based upon the aggregate bandwidth of all the WAN connections connected to it. So it is a tiered structure. It starts down at 25 megs and it works its all the way up to 2 gigs. And of course, you can mix and match depending on your location. So small sites, large sites, doesn't matter. It's per site.
And Andrew, you mentioned earlier that we had several, like almost half a dozen a couple of years ago, and we narrowed it down. So, we narrowed it down to obviously 2 very powerful names in the business, Cisco, Meraki, Versa. What would be just like the quick answer on when you would decide between the 2?
I mean, it's tough to actually decide between the 2. There's a very finite. I guess it would all depend on how much control does the client want, right? Versa is extremely granular, and it truly is an enterprise grade SD-WAN appliance. And Meraki is just easy to use. It works, right? And it's backed, of course, by Cisco, and there's good documentation to support it. So it depends on where the client wants to jump in on it, typically. And again, what are their business and their technical requirements will really drive us to which one. Over the course of a quick conversation, we'd kind of be able to gauge where they are. A lot of clients you might find already have Meraki in their network, so it's just a easy kind of migration, just to say, all right, let's just move it up to the WAN edge and just have single pane of glass for everything. Using the Meraki portal, but other clients, they want that granular control. They want to have all the knobs to turn, and that's where Versa really stands up. And of course, the integration with their security is top notch. You could go and do the full security suite on the Versa boxes. It's all integrated right in their software. It's just a license upgrade in order to release the power of their security.
And Versa is the chosen provider, if you will, to build into our intelligent network, which is the on-net application suite, the voice, one of the last slides that Andrew shared. We do move a lot of Versa business as just pure over the top. So the smallest we've ever done is 1 location with a single broadband circuit, and then hundreds of locations The intelligent network component is being completed this year, but that will bring to the forefront kind of that turnkey solution for clients that want that on net for UCaaS or SIP and access to that via the Versa platform and our backend data centers.
Matt, can you go back a slide to the one Andy was just referencing? There it is.
Yep.
And then Andy Staggy, this is more for you. I had a question on Next Vortex. So explain your partnership with them, just so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in January 2019, we received a significant private equity investment and recapitalization from Thompson Street Capital Partners, who you guys may recognize from TierPoint. They took TierPoint from one data center to obviously like 50. So they're very heavy in technology. They were looking for companies to bolster the BCM One product platform because traditionally we were a network infrastructure company and a managed services company. So we purchased Next Vortex in April of 2020 with the intentions of integrating the products and the services. And then eventually the invoicing, it's going to take some time on that. But effective January 2021, we will be a unified channel team under my management, thankfully, and then moving towards a unified billing platform probably within a year or so. So they will power a lot of our high-end SIP services to include voice-enabled teams as well.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah, I think partners sometimes see Next Vortex on our supplier site and it gets confusing for them. I just say the same thing. I'm like, come to me, come to Matt, come to Matt Hardy Jr., come to Tyler, come to us. We'll figure out how to do this with BCM One.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the common denominator is that it's all part of the BCM One Holdings group. So if you have a client that for some reason already has Next Vortex and so we cannot put it on a single invoice, we can do the BCM One services. But if it is kind of a greenfield environment, we could put the services on one invoice. From there, it's the merging of the existing services that'll be the long pole in the tent.
And then the other question that came up was if they have existing firewalls in place, that's where we just want to set up a discovery call. We want to get our partners on the line with your Andrew and your team to review, what options we have with BCM One. You can work with existing services that are in place.
100%, right? And we kind of go into it as, again, we very rarely come across a client that never had network connectivity in their network and they're just starting out. That's just not the businesses that come to BCM One, right? Those when people are just starting out, they're just going to their cable provider and getting something.
Andrew's cable provider primary just dropped. He's got to set up his failover there.
Sorry, somebody called me on Skype or Teams, and they got to fix that. That's anyway. But so yeah, it's very rare that those types of clients are coming in into us. But the clientele that we generally and people that are looking for managed services providers, they have multiple locations, right, with existing infrastructure. So we know what we're getting into when we start those conversations. And of course, it always got to start on, what do you have existing? How are we going to integrate? Where are we going to integrate before the firewall, after the firewall? Where do you want to manage? Yeah, those are the things that get missed. And I'll say in that pre-sales that cause so much pain to the implementation process and make us all look bad, to be quite honest, right? When that stuff is missed. So we do, look, I would love it if we could talk to every one of our clients before they sign a deal. I know that's not possible. I know there's agents that, kind of shy away from bringing the engineers in and maybe for some good reason, but we would love the opportunity to help you sell and help. We believe, our team, the pre-sales engineering team adds value to a sale, right? We're gonna put together again a multi-page Visio. We're gonna show you traffic flows, what happens when this link fails, right? So there's no question when a client looks at it and says, okay, I actually know what I'm buying now. SD WAN, it's a complicated thing, right? I know. It sets out to make things simple, and it does. It does a really good job of hiding the complexity, but that complexity is still there, right? It's doing a lot of advanced routing and switching and things. It's all built into the software, but understanding how it's going to work and how it's going to integrate, I think, can help sell a product. And that's what we're trying to do.
And it's funny you say that. Andy and Matt and I have talked about this separately on sales, on our sales meets. It's a competitive advantage. Like use it as a competitive advantage. Make IT make you stronger, right? Like make your organization stronger, even in a pandemic. And set it up now so that when you come out of the pandemic, you're even better, and make IT even a more important part of your organization, through BCM One.
Agree with
Absolutely.
you 100%.
We love the co-sell or the four-legged sale, whatever it's called. We like that. It's way better for us. I mean, we're all about flexibility, so we do understand that there's a lot of independent, very technically capable partners out there, but we love being involved, definitely.
We got a question on license costs, renewals, upgrades.
So there is, when we deploy, when a client signs up for SD WAN, there is licensing. It's all built into that one. It's basically one line item on their bill, right? And that is just an SD WAN charge, right? So that includes the hardware, that includes the management, and that also includes the licensing that comes with it. So the renewals and everything are built right into the monthly charge. So, of course, with Meraki, I know people are fearful of their licensing expiring with Meraki because that thing will turn into a brick. But we have those mechanisms in place where if you're under contract and you're continuing to pay your bill, we will auto renew that licensing on a 1 year or 3 year, depending on what it is. So we take care of that for the client.
Got it. No, it's good stuff. And we can take some of that offline. Again, this might be a good chance for me to throw it back to Matt Frechette on behalf of the CNSG App Smart team. And actually, Andy Sankey, when he opened it, Andrew, you said you've been in the channel 15 years. I think we've known you that entire time and even before. So again, like I opened it, we love the BCM One team. We love working with you guys. We love engaging our partners with you. You're very easy to work with. A couple of the key slides were, hey, BCM One's an engineering organization, and they're not beholden to any one carrier or provider. And then a couple of the slides just shouted easy to do business with. How that's where we want to go, right? We want to make this a little bit easier on the CTO, IT director. We want to make his or her decisions part of the partnership with BCM One. So we appreciate all you guys do.
We appreciate you guys too, man, and thank you for that. I couldn't have said it better myself, David.
Well, thanks, David.
I appreciate you. Matt, back to you.
No, absolutely. I definitely appreciate that. Love working with you, David, and CNSG. All the partners that joined today, thank you for taking the time. We'll get you the recording out. We'll get you some additional collateral on BCM One. And then if you have any questions, you want to discuss anything further, I'm more than happy to set up some individuals one-on-one time and answer any additional questions you may have or that may hit you when we hang up. So definitely appreciative of the time today. Like I said, we'll get everything out and we'll get you some time back in your day. But very appreciative of the time, everybody. Thank you.
Have a great holiday, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.